method of business would persist until the formation of the National Wrestling Alliance in 1948. The NWA as a central governing body, with its singular, undisputed world champion, would be absolute and undeniable. This control, combined with the expansion of the interstate highway system, and the inevitable popularity and availability of regional television, would usher in an era of wrestling that was defined by what would come to be known as the territory system. The territory system would dominate wrestling for nearly 4 decades. While the borders, authority, popularity, and obedience of individual NWA territories was in a near constant state of flux, to this day the impact and influence of these territories is still felt. Each territory had its own signature promoter and star. While it is impossible to cram these characteristics into a static, concrete map, we are damn sure going to try anyway.
So open up your eyes way before it gets too late. Now one man, wrestle while you can, hit the street lights running, don't give a damn. A simple explanation that you'll never find. Sinners never sacrifice. We never leave love alone. Is hate really worth the price? Look at what we've done. Never care for compromise. Always threaten when someone's life, and it feels like the end of the world.
All right, welcome to another episode of This Week in Pro Wrestling with Mike Monty. Going solo from studio, but joining me is Bruce from ESO Creative. Bruce, welcome to the show. Welcome to becoming a new co-host of Monty Nefaro. Joining between me, Jimmy, yourself, and Miss Petro. We look like we're going to be able to advance and do some more and special things. But first, Bruce, I know people know you out there, but I think it's important you kind of share with everybody really who you are and, you know, why you even got involved in this whole wrestling gig. But again, welcome aboard, Bruce. Your sound's not working, Bruce. Can't make it up this quick. Jesus
Is that
Christ
better?
Almighty! Right off the start.
Hey, we gotta have fun right off the bat. But hey, Mike, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going, everybody out there? It's been quite a journey to get here. It's a year ago today. I met you in person. I can't believe it. But this is ESO. My name is Bruce. Everybody out there knows me as ESO. Longtime wrestling fan. You know, grew up in the golden age of wrestling, that really hot era, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, you know, WrestleMania 1 through 3. Grew up in a great area of New York, the Hudson Valley, and right across the river from me was the Poughkeepsie Civic Center. So I got to see some great TV tapings over the years. I mean, I've seen Andre the Giant get his haircut. Oh, I saw Hulk Hogan and Paul Orndorff when Paul Orndorff turned on Hogan. Some of the great setup angles for the WrestleManias. But yeah, what a great area to grow up in. And, you know, from there, I became a longtime wrestling fan ever since then. And I've been a member of the M&P community, the Monty and the Pharaoh community, for a few years now. I found you guys while watching Dan Marotti and Marty Jannetty, the Party with Marty, the Tony Atlas stuff. And during the feud with Tony Atlas, I got turned on to you guys and started watching you guys. And all these years later, now I'm sitting here co-hosting with you. Well, you know what? And I'm glad to have you aboard. You know, you mentioned you got to see the Orndorff Hogan thing. Why don't you tell everybody? I remember you telling me a while back, like, what happened there. Can you fill it? You know, Could you fill us in with that? Absolutely, absolutely. It's actually one of the key moments in my wrestling fandom. It's probably one of the reasons I'm a wrestling fan today. I felt like I was led into something. It was so cool watching the entire feud took place in one night that led up to that Saturday night's main event where Paul Orndorff and Hulk Hogan simultaneously dropped off of the cage and they had to restart it. It was one of the big angles of that year. What ended up happening was they were filming the flower shop for that night, or for that angle. If anybody doesn't know what the flower shop was, it was Adrian Adonis's version of Piper's Pit. It was a silly little show there. But what ended up happening was during that night, they ended up filming the same episode of the flower shop. Something must have gone wrong in production, but they filmed something off. I'm a little 8-9-year-old kid, and now all of a sudden I felt like I was led into the biggest secret out there, that wrestling wasn't real. It was scripted. At that point, I ended up getting to know one of my grandfather and grandmother's neighbors in Florida. His name was Bulldog Mathers. I haven't been able to find out much more about him, but he had been a professional wrestler. And the one thing he made sure he told me right away was, it's scripted. It's not fake. So that was one of those funny stories out there.
I always wondered what it was like at that Civic Center. Did you go there all the time, or?
Whenever we could get tickets, we went there. You have to realize the Civic Center only sat about 2,500 people, maybe 3,000 at that point. So it wasn't always easy getting tickets. But yeah, I probably went to 10 to 15 shows there over the course of 6 or 7 years. What ended up happening is after, it was like right around just before WrestleMania 3 is when they stopped taping there. Wrestling was just getting too big. That's when you started to see Wrestling Superstars and Wrestling Challenge come out, the WWF, those big WWF shows. And they were in more of an arena base versus a small Civic Center base. So so I would say between 1983 and 1987, probably 12 to 15 shows there. And most of them were TV tapings.
That's very cool. So, this is our first show together. I'm really excited. A little bit different. Used to having people in studio, so I kind of got to get used to this internet thing. Everybody knows Jimmy's on his way to Florida now, and then he's got to set up. But hopefully this is a permanent deal with the four of us trying to work this out. But anyway, Bruce, WWE SmackDown leaving Fox for USA next year as Raw hits the markets. What are you thinking about that? The loss of Fox, do you think that's going to affect SmackDown? And what do you think about them well, they're going to USA Network. That to me could be an issue.
Well, in this day and age, media is changing left and right. Let's face it, network TV is not what it used to be. NBC, I think they're making the mistake on this. WWE is growing, and especially with now the Endeavor brand, and that TKO, they're such a more powerful organization, especially in a negotiation standpoint. I'm actually looking forward to going back to the times where we've got WWE on NBC. I'm thinking back to the Saturday night's main event and the main events that of the past, and we're going to see 4 of them, it looks like.
What do you think the future of Raw is going to be?
I haven't really thought of that. It's sitting on USA now. So, what are they going to do? They won't. I don't think they're going to move it anywhere.
So you're just going to have a one-stop shop USA Network?
Well, no, you don't have a one-stop shop because you can't look at it as a linear television and cable now. You have to look at it in a bigger, broader picture. You have Twitter or X, whatever it is now. You have that media outlet. You have Facebook. You have Instagram. You have Snapchats. You have TikToks. You have Netflixes. You have the Intuitive app. You have so many other outlets that you can distribute media on. No, I really don't think it's going to affect the WWE negatively in any respect.
Well, Jason
If
Keller
anything,
seems to think it's a downgrade leaving Fox. Now, you got to think about this, Bruce, right? Not everybody has cable where they get USA Network, where Fox is on regular network television. You know, I tend to think that could be a problem.
I'll put it this way. My new Spectrum thing that I just negotiated, I can choose what networks I want. And it's a great little deal with this app. I mean, I get 25 channels, and it's I think it's costing me $60. So I get to choose the channels. So I can choose Fox, I can choose USA, I can choose whatever I want. The media world's changing. So I don't think I don't think it never has unintelligent people maneuvering behind them. So we'll see what happens, but no, I don't. I think we're going into different uncharted territories. There's going to be more and more people that aren't going to have cable at all. Everybody's going to be relying on your YouTubes, everything, things like that. Your Rumble, your Kick, all those things are growing and growing and growing, and that's all taking more and more away from that the NBCs, the Foxes, all of those.
Would it be crazy to say that The Rock's return last Friday, everybody's aware, would it be fair to say this was even a bigger pop than Edge's return to the Royal Rumble a few years back?
Edge's pop was nothing compared to that, man. The Rock, that house was exploding. If he wouldn't have they would have kept going all night long if he would have let them. It's crazy, especially once he got that asshole chant going. Man, that dude's had. That is probably the most control over a crowd I've seen a WWE performer have in the last 5 years. And that's saying a lot because, you have that Seth Rollins, you have Roman Reigns, but man, everybody was popping for The Rock.
Is this the WWE's message to Fox saying this is what you're going to miss out? Would that could it be a last-ditch effort, or you think it was already a done deal at this point?
It was I believe it was probably a done deal at that point, but that just happened to be an icing on the cake and a thumb your nose, and the stars just aligned from him being on the Pat McAfee show, right there in town, and it was just the stars aligned on that night, and it was the right time for his return. I don't usually catch SmackDown live. I usually catch it on a rerun. I happen to be watching it live. And once I started to hear him refer to the people, I'm like, wait a minute. No, he's not. And me in my own house, I'm popping when The Rock comes out. That was just what a fun night of TV.
Do you think, Jay Will saying out there, the product's oversaturated now? You think wrestling is oversaturated?
Well, it depends on your taste. Not all the wrestling out there is for my taste, so I don't tend to watch some stuff. So there's just more options out there. The world's big, the world's smaller. There's a lot of options out there. Saturated, maybe, but let's just put it this way: it gives people more options and more choice. Mm.
What does this mean for Cody Rhodes? Do you think they go off plan now, or you think this is just a one-time shot with The Rock?
Well, that's the $1 million question. I mean, personally, do you think they're really going to give Cody Rhodes that Universal title? No, they're going to give him that Seth Rollins. I keep calling it the television title. I'm sorry, it's not the world title like. You have so Roman is the champion of the universe, but Seth is the world champion. So it just is kind of weird. I don't know. I don't know. I'm waiting for some alien to come down and wrestle Roman for the championship. Say, you're not the greatest wrestler in the universe.
You're downplaying Seth's title. Is that because Gunther has made such a big deal out of we've discussed numerous times before, the Intercontinental title has really got its prestige back. So is that why the shine is off of Seth's title, or is it just that Roman is the world champion and everybody just recognizes it as that?
I think it's the second statement, absolutely. Well, actually, it's kind of a combination of both, because let's face it, Gunther has elevated that title back up to the status, that Macho Man level status, that untouched. It was the second in command title. Seth's title we just pulled out of thin air. I hate to say it, but nobody's beat Roman, so how can he not be the world champion? At the end of the day.
But back to the original question then. Cody Rhodes is on the road to Roman Reigns, finishing his story with this involvement with The Rock. As a fan, would you go with The Rock?
Oh, actually, I don't know. Because let's face it, The Rock's days in the ring are numbered. We're not going to see him long range. I do want to see him wrestle Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But at the same time, what do you do with Cody now then? We'd have to find a whole different angle. And again, there's not many main event level players out there that caliber. Seth Rollins. You could maybe bring up Drew McIntyre or a Sheamus up to that level. But there's really, who's he going to face? Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar. He's already went through Brock. So I don't see any other opponent for him other than Roman Reigns.
Well, B40 brings up some good points. If they do have Rock versus Roman, it's got to be serious, right? The comedy stuff's got to be kicked out. And I think at some point, you're right. You've got to go with The Rock. You only have a certain window. It's kind of funny. I was telling Jimmy last year, I have a friend that works for the WWE, and he told me The Rock was a done deal. And, we all know it turned out The Rock never showed up. He was supposed to show up at the Rumble. He was supposed to finish up at Mania, and Jimmy laughed at me, but it only turns out to be that it was the case after you find out that it was supposed to be a done deal. So I think you go Rock Reigns and call it crazy, but Punk against Cody. Or Punk against Rollins, maybe, even. Cody just might be the last man out.
Yeah, I just don't know what's next for him if that doesn't play out like that.
All right,
Punk, I'm not sure. Are we going to bring... I think you really believe they're going to bring Punk in?
I'm going to give you the
especially
pencil,
with all that
Bruce.
baggage.
Do I think they'll bring Punk in? If it makes sense, yeah. And you know what? The WWE can control Punk to a certain level. And you know what? I don't think he stays a long time anyway. And, you could just make some really solid statements. But let's just do it this way. I'm giving you the pencil. Knowing what you know now, how does WrestleMania play out?
Okay. Let's see. So, they're going to definitely be there's something more with the bloodline coming through on this. I could almost see... It's definitely going to be a challenge for the blood. Seth, it's going to be Roman Reigns and The Rock competing at WrestleMania, but it's the bloodline on the line.
So championship.
It's going to be the loyalty. I don't think so. How could you put the championship on The Rock?
Why do you have to have The Rock
He's not going to be there.
Why would you have The Rock win anyway?
I don't know what to expect. I wouldn't know what to expect with that one. Rock is huge. That guy's still bigger than Roman. And at 50 years old, that dude, it looks like a monster. It's crazy. I couldn't imagine. So here's a funny one. So Hulk Hogan faced The Rock at, I believe Hogan was 50 and The Rock was, in his prime there. Now take a look at The Rock The Rock's almost still in his prime, 20 plus years later. It's crazy.
Yeah, he looks great.
Even discussing putting the title on a 50 plus year old man is nuts. But The Rock could be. It looks like he's Yeah, he could go any day of the week.
I think you're in a position now where you can put Roman Reigns with an opportunity to break Hogan's record, right, which would make him number 3 all time. You can't go any further with that because he's never going to beat Backlund's record, and then finally the great Bruno Sammartino, right? It would just take too much time. But with The Rock getting involved, you could have a main event defending the title for the head of the table and the championship. You put Roman over. Rock bows down to the tribal chief, and we just why does the Cody story have to end at WrestleMania?
Well, it doesn't. It could also, let's face it. Cody's still relatively young. What is he? 37, 38.
Yeah.
We know they want to keep that title on Roman as long as possible because, especially as they approach that 1400 day mark. Yeah, I mean that makes sense to break Hogan's record. Wow, that would be something. That's 30 years, 30 plus years.
Puts
That's
him
insane.
in the elite. Jason Morning says LA Knight needs a title. He's more popular than most of the roster. LA Knight.
What title do you give him?
LA Knight's the guy to beat Gunther. But you can't just take it off of Gunther now. It has to be stretched out. I think that would be the move to do. Maria Davis says Cody's younger, his body's still in great shape, and could still fill seats for the WWE. Totally agree. Cody's story doesn't have to end at this WrestleMania. He could just get shunned. I don't think you give him the title. I don't think you give him Seth Rollins' title. That would be a mistake. I think it would be a huge mistake.
Do you somehow get him the Intercontinental title? I mean, I don't want to see him fighting Gunther again.
No,
but
I don't think anything less than the Universal title is a failure, right? Look, no matter how big a fan you are of Cody Rhodes or anybody else on the roster, every wrestling fan that's watching the show, that's not watching the show, you and me, we want to see Roman against The Rock. It's a done deal. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, you want to see the head of the. It just makes sense. You have the two biggest superstars of the two eras. You have to have them. You have to have them face off. You have to have that passing of the torch moment.
Well, we're gonna find out, dude. We're gonna find out. Listen, today WWE releases finally came to fruition. Usually happens a couple days after Mania, but they waited quite a long time. Go through a list. Tell me if you think they should have been released, you don't care, or big mistake. Aaliyah,
talented girl. Didn't she? She just broke the record for pinfall like a year ago against Natalya at less than 4 seconds, and I don't think she's wrestled since. Not surprised she was released, but I think it was a waste of a talent.
what happened there? What happened?
No idea. She disappeared. I have no idea. She got the she had that world record thing, the Guinness Book of World Record thing going with Natalya, that little feud there, and then poof, it was gone. She was gone. She hasn't wrestled in 2023 at all.
Maybe injury, I don't know, but I'm shocked. Rick Boogs.
Little disappointed here. I like Boogs. I really think they should have done something more with his guitar angle. Little bit disappointed. He seemed to have the mic skills. He seemed to be pretty good in the ring. Very poor timing of that injury in that match against the Usos and putting him out for that year. And unfortunately, he's never been able to get that momentum back behind him. Not really surprised at the release, but again, somebody that I think they missed the ball on. But I don't think he's going to. I don't think his whole story's been written yet. I think there's more to come with him.
I don't think they dropped the ball with him and missed the ball. Again, another release that doesn't make sense. Aaliyah, I really don't get. Boogs, I really don't get. That guy, I think, had everything. Skills, had the look, had that gimmick going. He was a fun character. A bit surprised. Elias.
Okay, I know this one people are going to disagree on me with because Pharaoh disagreed with me last year because when I sat with him, we actually discussed the Ezekiel Elias gimmick. I liked Elias. I think the Ezekiel Elias gimmick, they dropped the ball with that. However, since he's been back, since he grew the beard and came back, no momentum behind him. He hasn't seemed to be as sharp on the mic when he came back. Not really surprised at this one, but again, I think they just dropped the ball. I think he could have been a solid mid-carder for the rest of his career.
Elias, I think he just wore his welcome. I liked Elias, but do I miss him? No. Did I miss him? No. So, out of sight, out of mind. Actually, all three people we just mentioned are kind of out of sight, out of mind, but I think that's how the machine works. Madcap Moss.
This one I'm a little I'm very surprised at. I figured he's been off of TV a lot recently, and I figured he was just getting repackaged. Again, somebody who had some talent, he had a lot of talent. I don't think you've seen the last of him. He's still a young guy. I think there's a chance that he might go back on the indies or go over to another promotion and then end up back in the WWE in the future.
His girlfriend, Emma.
Package deal. Has Emma hasn't been on TV in for what, years? I don't even remember the last time I've seen her. So
I don't know, years. Did she
there.
just come back late last year, I think?
Oh, wait. She won the title with Raquel briefly and then disappeared, right?
I don't remember that either, but you could be
No,
right.
no, that was the other girl. That was a lot.
I just remember her coming back and losing all the time, and it was like I didn't even get the whole return. And I think it was because that she was Madcap Moss's girlfriend. But now they're both unemployed at this point. Top Dollar.
Very surprised at this one. Not going to say he's a great in-ring performer.
Dude, you're surprised? You're surprised at this? He's awful.
No, I'm not surprised.
Awful.
Oh, I'm not. I said, well, I'm surprised in that he was. I thought he was really good on the other shows that he had done and the inner.
Yeah, he was really good finding everybody's clothes and boots and rings.
No, but he's also done some talk shows.
Yeah,
interviews.
He was good at that. Yeah. This one was a long time coming. I think he got released. They brought him back. Triple H felt bad, and the guy just doesn't have the goods. That is all. I'm sorry. Shelton Benjamin.
Not really surprised. They really haven't done much with him in forever. I enjoyed him when he first came in back in the early Brock Lesnar days, but the latest run, it was dry. Not surprised in the least.
Dolph Ziggler.
Didn't they? But I'm not surprised. He's hit and miss. He's kind of melancholy. I wouldn't have been surprised if they kept him, and I'm not surprised they got rid of him.
He's been around a long time. He's gotten $1 million contracts. He's done fine, and that's one of the guys, if he's interested, that AEW picks up. More than likely, I think that he's going to go on to being a comedian and acting. I think he's done with the wrestling gig. He's made his money. Mason Mansoor.
Oh, I hadn't seen that one. That must have come later on.
Came late over the wire.
So he was the last gimmick he was doing was the male models thing, right?
Both of them, yes.
So not surprised. It was such a small part of whichever show it was on. Not really surprised. He was the mouse of that tag team there. So
Dana
definitely
Brooke. Dana Brooke.
Oh, there's another one. Again, not surprised. Wouldn't have been surprised if she stayed. Not surprised she's gone.
Mustafa Ali.
Personally, I wasn't a Mustafa Ali fan. However, I am surprised, being that isn't he in a feud with Rey Mysterio?
He's been in NXT for a while, buddy.
Okay.
Where you been?
Oh no, that was it. So, but no, okay. Obviously, not surprising.
Davio says, Dolph surprises me, let go. I read WD was trying to prevent him from going to other promotions. I think, Davio, that certain guys, they just have to say goodbye. It's been a long time. And you know what? They should go on to the WWE should allow them to go to green, not greener pastures, but different pastures. Again, Davio Ziggler going to AEW is not going to move AEW's needle one iota. It's not going to happen. AEW Grand Slam here in New York. I'm going to go through the matches real quick. Tell me what you think. Kingston defeated Castagnoli to win the title.
Yeah, what's the name of those titles?
It's a Ring of Honor or whatever.
Strong something.
Strong. First of all, I don't know how you put a title anywhere near Kingston. They should just give him a hamburger. And I'm serious, by the way. By the way, you had a friend that was at Grand Slam last night. What was the crowd like?
Well, he was in the nosebleeds, and he was a little lonely up there, so he meandered his way downward and ended up on the floor. So it must not have been as packed as it looked. He managed to talk his way down there. You know, we're New Yorkers. They had closed down the vending on the upper level because there was nothing going on because there was nobody up there. So he ended up going down to the bottom level, and it was like, well, listen, they shut it down upstairs. Well, I just want to go over to vending over here. Can I'm right over here. Well, they let him in onto the bottom floor. He was he got into lower levels without a problem.
I got to be honest. When I tuned in, it was so dark. I'm like, there must be no crowd there. That's all I thought to myself.
That's what if he got down to the bottom level and was able to find seats where nobody was, so he got to get down to lower levels. So
Jericho pinned Guevara. Ray Phoenix defeats Moxley to win the title. Moxley got injured in this one. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I saw that. Well, I think so PWI Insider had Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Jon Moxley, the Shield. They as the top three wrestlers. Moxley goes and the other two don't put their bodies on the line the way Moxley does. I think Moxley's cutting his career short with all this blood and dangerous stuff that he's doing. Yeah, the guy ended up with a concussion last night, and he tried to call an audible and wanted to get pinned, and then because the referee didn't realize it, he ended up taking another pile driver. That's great, on top of it.
By the way, Lou says Mox got KO'd last night.
Yeah. Yep. Crazy.
What do we got here? Saraya defeated Tony Storm. Now, I got to tell you something. Tony Storm's new gimmick is so awesome. Tony Storm turned to me. I remember when she got brought up to the main roster and had that mini feud with Flair, and it kind of didn't do well, and that's when she left, and now she went to AEW. I think Tony Storm could do well for herself leaving AEW and trying to go back to the WWE. I think AEW was good for her. It got her a chance to expand her character and grow her character to a level where she has become very, very entertaining. On the other hand, Saraya Paige, who I'm a huge fan of, this has been a bust. When she first got signed, I was big on it. I was like, this is the greatest move AEW has ever done. I was wrong. Thoughts?
Yeah, I am not a Saraya fan. I was a Paige fan. I'm not a Saraya fan. But I do have to say that entrance is pretty cool. The black and white entrance.
Yeah,
so
it's cool. MJF to beat Samoa Joe with a stoppage. I'm not so sure I like this.
I don't like the way it ended, but the match itself, those two, they're two of the highlights of AEW. They're two of the reasons, if you're going to watch the show, those two, Jon Moxley, outside of that, it's kind of hit or miss. I mean, I hate to say it. Last year, this time, I was praising Jericho and how great he was doing at his age. Unfortunately, I got to say that the match he had at Grand Slam, he kind of showed his age a little bit, and maybe it is time for him to take a step back and slow down a little.
He's been showing his age now for the last year, and this is no knock.
Yeah, that's what
on
I say
him.
about. No, absolutely. That's what last year, sitting right there in your chair. We were talking about. I mean, this guy's defying the odds. He seemed to be so on, and then it's just for me, this was the time I'm like, wow, maybe it's time for one of the greatest ever to take a little bit of a step back.
I'm going to agree with you back on the MJF Joe match. It was a very good match. I just didn't like the ending. I think it made Joe look weak. And, you kind of, by that kind of ending, you kind of just end the feud. Joe can't go anywhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah, what do you do with him next?
Nothing. And that's poor booking, right? Extend some feuds. Let Joe win by a count out,
Or a run-in. Some type of run-in. Start the next feud. Get it moving.
All right, I need your thoughts on this as we close the show today, guys. Chris Statlander wishes fans would tune out rumors and focus on the AEW product. She also, on Busted Open Radio, said that she's not a fan of fans coming up to her at the airport, bothering her on her own personal time. She said it's a job, and and when she's off, she should be off. What are your thoughts about that?
Okay, well, listen, you have to appreciate all fans. They're your fans, whether they're marks, the smart marks, or they're just the fans of the product. If people want to know what's going on behind the scenes, let them know. That's what's bringing them to the product, because if they didn't have that, they probably wouldn't be watching. However, I have to agree with her. If people are on their personal time, leave them alone. If you happen to catch a conversation with them, then maybe approach an autograph. But honestly, no. I mean, if the person's at the airport, listen. Airports are frustrating enough. Having to deal with somebody coming up to you and saying, "Hey, can I have your autograph? Can I have your autograph?" I wouldn't want to deal with it.
Benny Scala says the fans pay her salary.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. They pay her salary when she's performing. And when she's at events. When she's traveling and doing other stuff, no, let her be.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on this, man. I think when you become an athlete, a movie star, a professional wrestler, you're idolized by millions, right? And you love all the stuff that comes along with it, right? I mean, if you're a wrestler, right, you get a movie role because you were a wrestler, not because you were Chris Statlander working at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? So at what point do you respect the fans? Look, I understand that people come to the airport and they'll be like, hey, signed 80 dolls. But I mean, for someone to say, hey, can I take a picture with you, or can you just sign this photo as a fan? I think you do irreversible damage when you don't treat that fan with respect.
I think that was very prevalent in days of the past. I don't know if you've seen what happens to celebrities whenever they're walking anymore. Once they're noticed, it's like a mob of people just start swarming them. It's there isn't a respect thing for that person, their safety or anything at that point. Especially, I've seen it happen with professional athletes. I was running a store and in a popular area, and we used to get a lot of Knicks athletes in, and somebody came in the store, and next thing you know, I mean, people were swarming to attack, like just to get close to the person. It was, at what point, where is that line? I mean, there has to be a line. That the people have to be able to exist.
B40 says, have you seen those AEW fans? Can you blame her? Well, if you're going to put it that way, I'm going to have to agree with them. RJ Hudson says, I would talk to the nice fans and ignore the mean ones. The fans pay a salary, which pay our bills. I got to look, dude, I understand what you're saying, but I think it's if you're going to take that type of role, you have to deal with what comes along with it. All right, Bruce, we're out of time. You think you want to take another shot at this next week?
It sounds like a plan. Actually, Mike, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be coming down to visit live.
Oh, that's
in
right.
studio.
'Cause you'll be joining us Friday where we go that marathon with Doink the Count, TL Hopper, PN News, and Duke the Dumpster Drosy. So you will be. So you'll be here live for This Week in Wrestling.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. And hey, I just hope I did some justice for sitting in Pharaoh's seat for the day. Jimmy, miss you. I can't wait to continue working with you. Hope you made it down to Florida safely.
All right, guys. Bruce is going to send us out. I want to say join us at 9 o'clock, where our second new co-host, Daniela Petro, joins the team. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm glad I didn't have to follow her.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see you guys at 9. We love you all.
All right. And till next week, this Week in Wrestling, and we'll see you later. Bye.